Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tune Quest. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to play this kind of melodic house piano style by exploring the song Moments by Kidnap. This was requested by a viewer. I hadn't heard this before. I checked it out, and I think it's a really beautiful example of how to play this kind of piano style. If you haven't heard the track before, let me just play a little bit for you now. So as you can hear, it's kind of got that really stirring, emotional house piano atmosphere, right? And I'm going to break down some of the things happening in this song so that you can hopefully learn something about playing in the style and learn how to play this particular piece of music. Okay, let's jump into it. So let's start with the chord progression itself, because this progression is actually quite typical in house music, okay? And yeah, so we're set in a minor key. We're in the key of G minor, which means that this chord here, this G minor, is our tonic, our home plate, right? Now in the left hand, we're just going to be playing these octaves of the root notes, okay? Now on the right hand, we've just got basic triads for now, okay? So G minor is the first chord, and then the second chord is B flat major, which is the major third chord in the key of G minor, okay? I'll explain why that's important in a second. And then the third chord in this progression is E flat major 7, okay? Which is the major sixth chord in the key of G minor. Okay, so just to quickly clarify, we've got G minor, the minor 1, then B flat major, the major 3, and then E flat major, the major 6. Okay, now why do I explain it in those terms? Well, I could just say that it's G minor, B flat major, and E flat major, but those chord names only apply to the key of G minor. Whereas if you explain it as the minor 1, the major 3rd, and the major 6th chord, what we can now do is we can transpose this chord progression to any key that we want to. So for example, we could take that same chord progression and play it in C minor. And it might sound like this, right? The minor 1 chord, the major 3 chord, and the major 6 chord, okay? This is called transposition, where you take something and you apply it to a new key. And that's why you want to go about learning chord names and chord functions in relation to a key, okay? So that is the chord progression and a little bit about that, a little bit of theory behind it, okay? Now let's take a look at the chords themselves. So with these like melodic house piano parts, typically they'll use the 7th extension of the chords, and that's actually what's happening here with these major chords, okay? So we've just got a standard G minor, but with the B flat major, what's being used here is actually a B flat major 7, okay? So to do this, quite simply, what we need to do in the right hand is we take the root of the chord, B flat, and just lower it a half step, okay? And there we get the B flat major 7 chord, okay? Now you can do this with any inversion. It doesn't matter what the inversion is in the right hand, you can do this. So for example, if you're playing it in this inversion, okay, this is B flat major in its second inversion with the 5th on the bottom, follow the same principle of lowering the root note, B flat, a half step, and you're going to get the chord. Likewise, if you have it in this inversion, which is first position, lower the B flat a half step, okay? And then the E flat is also an E flat major 7, okay? Now the reason why major 7 chords are used instead of standard chords is because of this. Listen. That's just an E flat major chord in its standard position, right? It's too grounded, whereas house music, and especially this kind of atmospheric style, it's quite deep, right? They call it deep house. And to capture that kind of atmosphere, we need to create that feeling, right? That feeling that the major 7th extension creates. Almost this lilting, unfinished, sad effect or something, right? So that is the chord progression and the harmony behind the song and some of the things that we can extract from them, some of the lessons, okay? Now, let's take a look at the actual progression and learn the rhythm, because rhythm with house music and house piano parts is probably the most important factor, I would say. Okay, so it goes like this. This is what is actually happening in the song itself. Okay, so firstly, what we've got here is a kind of pattern. Now, just a quick disclaimer, by the way, I can't cover everything in like melodic house piano playing or house piano in this short video. This is just a tutorial of Moments by Kidnap and what we can extract from it, right? And in terms of how to play this kind of style. But yeah, this is just one of the many kind of patterns and rhythms that you might find in house music. Okay, so firstly, what this pattern is the technical term is an arpeggio, right? We're taking this chord and we're playing it in such a way where we're arpeggiating it up and back down, right? So in the left hand, we've got this root 5 octave arpeggio going up and then going back down. In the right hand, the melodic note that we're using here first is B flat. So we play root 5, melody twice, octave 5, like that. And it's the same for the next chord, this B flat major 7. Right, in this case, we're using the B flat major triad, root 3rd, 7th, 5, 3rd, like that. And for the E flat major, we've got that root 5 octave again, and the melody goes down to G. Now this kind of interplay between the hands, this is quite typical of like house piano rhythms. You'll find this kind of syncopated rhythm between the hands. Now the real magic is when you can actually play it at speed. That might take a little bit of practice. Now I thought I'd mention really quickly the articulation. As you're coming down, you want it to be more like ghost notes, right? Ghost notes are notes that you more feel than hear, if that makes sense. So they should be light to touch, right? See how the melody is what's standing out? That's also quite important. We're talking about melodic house music, so the melody should be front and center. So in terms of articulating the notes, really play that melody and let the left hand kind of accompany it, right? Okay, so that's how you play the piano part. Now, the melody itself starts by descending like B flat, A, G, and then the second time it actually ascends, right? B flat, C, D, F, up to G up here. Okay? So that's the chord progression. Now, since we're covering melody, I may as well show you the melody of the actual piece, which goes like this. Okay, so what I'm doing here in the left hand is I'm playing this root 5 octave 5 arpeggio. Okay, this is really standard. Now, we're not going to capture the rhythm of the song with this, but it's just, it's always going to work on the piano, okay? B flat, A flat, okay? If you don't want to do that, you can just hold octaves. Again, that works as well, okay? So the melody goes like this. So we do this walk up, D, F, G, G, A, G, F, F, D, C, F, D. That's the first phrase, and then the second phrase, right? B flat, F, F, D, C, B flat, G. That repeats. And ends on C. Okay, now since we're talking about melody, where does this melody come from and why does it work so well? It comes from the G minor pentatonic scale, okay? Again, we're in the key of G minor, right? So that means that we can take and use and improvise with the G minor pentatonic scale, which is G, B flat, C, D, F, and G. Okay, so you can take any one of these notes and play it to improvise with, right? Okay, that's just an example of me just using some of the notes to improvise with. Okay, now I teach that because we've already looked at a chord progression and some ways to play it and a melody, and it's really nice to be able to just kind of jam out. Every time you sit at the piano to play the song, you can just like improvise using this G minor pentatonic scale and express yourself in your own kind of way, which is like the main ethos of my channel and Keyboard Wizardry, which is like my online school community. If you want to check that out, that's below. So yeah, the next thing I wanted to show you, which is quite typical of this like style of melodic house piano, is these right hand melodic octaves, which you get in the song as well. So essentially, let's just use this arpeggio pattern and use the right hand playing octaves like this. Okay, so I'm using that same scale, right? That G minor pentatonic scale, but what I'm doing now is I'm just playing them as right-hand octaves, and you get this beautiful kind of house sound, right? Another thing I thought I would mention, this is another like house, almost like rhythmic displacement thing, the syncopated thing, where you've got the right hand playing in a different rhythm to the left hand, okay? So notice, you've got the steady, like that, right, in the right hand, and you put that over the top of this arpeggio, and you get this like beautiful rhythmic thing going on. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to explain this stuff, but it's more of a feeling, right? Okay, so that is essentially how to play Moments by Kidnap, and some of the things that we can learn from this in terms of how to play that style. Definitely let me know how you go with this tutorial, and let me know what you think of this kind of video and tutorial, because I can definitely make a lot more. I love house music. Please send me your house music recommendations and I can break them down in detail like this. We can explore what we can learn from them and things like that. If you're interested in coaching, check out Keyboard Wizardry, the link below. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.